Hello, my beautiful friends. My name is Carrie Cox, and today I'm going to do something different than I normally do. So I was doing a card reading for a client, and it occurred to me that this reading wasn't just for my client, and that this reading was actually a collective reading with a lot of messages on what is going on over the last couple weeks of December. Today is December 8th, 2020, and we have some big things happening for the rest of 2020. So I wanted to get these cards on camera and share with you the messages that are in these cards for the collective for the rest of December, starting with the card Solar Deity. And this is the Sun card in this deck. And the sun represents our consciousness. This is masculine energy. And in this card, we can see a lot of movement and rising. And the Pegasus that's on this card represents attaining ultimate freedom, having no boundaries of time and space. One of the messages that are coming up for this card is all about rising up and changing our life from ordinary to extraordinary. This card is one of the most positive card in this deck. It's the most radiant, and so it really shows a lot of positive energy. The second card that came out in this reading is this transition card. And this transition card in this deck is the death card. And with this death card, or in, as they call it, transition, there's a lot of stuff happening. So you're going to see a theme throughout this reading where there's a lot of polarity coming up. And polarity, for those of you that don't really know what that is everything in nature has dual nature. It is one of the 7 Hermetic principles called the law of polarity. And it basically says that everything is dual. Everything has a pole and a pair of opposites. One end of the opposite, or one end of that pole, you have positive, and at the other end of the pole you have negative. And you have a full range of possibilities between these poles. And since everything has poles, everything has a pair of opposites. And so you're going to see polarity come up a lot in these cards. So we have the most positive card in the deck and what is looked at as the most negative card in the deck. We have polarity going on right here. Sun representing the conscious mind, and this transition card, since it represents the death card in the regular tarot deck, this really has an influence over our unconscious mind. So here again, we have polarity between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. Now, I've been seeing a whole lot of portals and tunnels and spirals in all of the cards I've been pulling over the last couple weeks. It's been coming up in a lot of dreams. And so we have a lot of portal energy coming up. And we have a lot of people talking about the split that is happening. Okay, so we have this split happening in consciousness. We have this split happening in what is called the New Earth, which I will talk about here as we get further into the card reading. So these two cards together, I see lots of movement and a message that it's time to take action. And then we come down to the 5 of Forces card in this deck. And you can see the top half is summer, the bottom half is winter, and winter is flipped upside down. Again, showing polarity between summer and winter. Summer and winter are those opposites. This card shows a lot of activity, summer being yang energy, winter being yin energy, which again is that polarity. It's also saying to start taking steps towards our personal goals. We need to start considering what needs to be done and then just going for it. I see a lot of movement in this card, so since this is a general reading, it could mean a trip coming up for some. So some might be taking a trip, or it could just be the movement in the transition in what's about to occur with the solar eclipse that we have coming up and the Saturn and Jupiter meetup. Then we come to this card, which is just an amazing card because she's standing on Saturn, and we have this huge shift that's happening on 12/21 on winter solstice. And here she's standing right on Saturn, and she's pointing to the angel on this card. And this card is representing all the light workers out there. And it's like she's calling out all the light workers. It's time to step up. It's time to come forward with your light. It's time to bring your light. It's time to contribute to raising the consciousness and the vibration and the frequency of the earth. And so I think it's amazing how she's calling out the light workers. This card right here is all about direction and purpose. It's about taking those first steps, making goals for the future, because without goals, we would be stagnant and we'd have little meaning in life. So in order to start your goals, you need to start reading, learning, seeing, experiencing. Start experiencing new things. When you set a goal, it's a journey to tomorrow, and every journey starts with the first step. And I think it's just absolutely amazing that she's standing on top of Saturn, and we have this Saturn and Jupiter meetup that they're calling the Great Conjuncture. And the Great Conjuncture is happening on winter solstice on 12/21. Winter solstice happens every year, and on winter solstice, this is when the veil between the dimensions get really thin, and you may be feeling that. I know I've already been feeling it. I feel not only super tapped in, but I feel super spacey and airy, and definitely can feel a shift in energy happening. So some of you may be feeling that as well. On 12/21, Saturn and Jupiter will be meeting up at 0 degrees Aquarius. Now, the reason why this is going to be a big year is because this is the start of a new season. Not only is winter solstice the start of a new season, we have the start of a new season here in this card, but all of this energy just shows this new transition, new energy, new beginnings, which means something is closing and something is starting. And this is going to give us an opportunity to see who we truly are and how we're truly connected. This happens about every 20 years, Jupiter and Saturn meet up. But the difference is, for the first time in 200 years, Jupiter and Saturn, they've always been meeting up in earth signs over the last 200 years. But this time they're going to meet up in the sign of Aquarius, which is an air sign. So some of the old ways, these last 200 years, the energy of those earth signs have really led to things like big government, big business, lots of ambition, focus on material wealth, possessions, creating and building tangible things for the future. But as we move into this air sign, we are going to shift, and we're going to stop thinking in the way of the old, and we're going to start thinking in a new way. This thinking is going to be more about the collective and less about the individual. It's going to be more of a community-based approach. Aquarius is all about humanitarians. So we're going to see humanitarian efforts that will become important. Tech will be favored, so we'll see more things created online instead of in the physical world. And I mentioned that with new beginnings, there's always the end of something. And so we have the end of a karmic cycle coming in. It's time to step out of that karmic cycle and step into this new earth. And the way we're going to step into this new earth is we see lots of portals opening. So we have a portal opening on 12/14. This is going to be the total solar eclipse, new moon in Sagittarius. So this is when the sun and the moon come together in conjunct, which is going to bring the energy of a strong new beginning. And this is going to open a portal to brand new beginnings, to a bigger cycle. Then we move into that Great Conjuncture on 12/21, which is going to amplify this portal energy and this new beginnings energy. Now, you're not going to physically see a difference, but some of you are going to feel it, and we're going to notice how we have access to a higher frequency that we can reach, a higher than we're able to reach right now. So what's going to happen on 12/14 when this portal opens is the earth is going to move into that portal or through this tunnel, and it's going to start to become pressurized. So it's going to force this earth to split into two as it leaves the tunnel, kind of like what happens with cell division. So it's like you have two earths, just like you would have two cells in cell division. It's going to represent two energy dynamics that we will be able to access from the earth. We weren't able to do this before. So one way that you'll be able to access it is kind of staying back in those old karmic patterns, repeating those same old cycles that you've been repeating over and over again. And it's not going to allow for you to move forward. And there's so much movement going on in these cards. We don't want to get stuck in that old system. We don't want to stay on that loop. We want to transition through the portal and come out the other end being able to access this new earth energy. Because this new way is going to be something we've never seen before. It's going to allow us to stretch our abilities as humans. We're going to be able to create things that we weren't able to perceive in this old paradigm. It's going to allow us to stretch ourselves to higher levels of consciousness. And in this, we have a choice. We can move just as all of this movement is shown here, or we can stay back in this old karmic pattern. So the way to prepare yourself for what they're calling this split is to start being true to yourself. Okay, it's not just enough to just be positive. We want to live in alignment with who we truly are. We want to be feeling connected and accepting of who we are. We want to live in the highest vibration where we are true to ourselves. We are true to the way we feel, flaws and all, and we're living as our true, authentic self. That's how you raise your vibration. It's not just about trying to manifest something or about just trying to be positive. It's about living in that higher vibration so you're really being who you truly are. And a lot of people are talking about this timeline split where we're going from the 3D to the 5D. So the 5D is going to be a representation of this new earth. And the light workers are really being called out. The light workers are being called to step up and start living in alignment, because as we rise up through the ashes as light workers, and remember I said this card was representing taking our life from ordinary to extraordinary. Well, now it's about going from being that ordinary light worker that just has these ordinary circumstances in their life where they're helping people. They're being called into service, but they're just helping people at the grocery store or just in general, who needs help as they go about life. But now we're going to see that our life mission is expanding and that we're being called to reach more people than just those ordinary circumstances, and to start reaching people and living an extraordinary life. That's what we're being called to do. We're being called to help raise the vibration of the entire planet, because the more light we can bring to the planet, the more we will lift the vibration for those lower vibration people that might have a tendency to get stuck back in that 3D, in those old karmic patterns. So we have a choice, and we can choose to make some changes over the next few weeks and really start to focus on our awareness and our vibration and our energy and what we're putting our energy towards. So you can see the overall theme going on here is movement. We're moving into a new era. We have to balance the energies because we can see we have so much polarity going on right here. It's really calling us to really balance those polarities. And with Jupiter and Saturn aligning at 0 degrees Aquarius, this means that we have infinite potential and limitless possibilities coming in. And you can really see that in this card. So we're really going to shift the way we see the world, and we may change our view moving forward, and that will be a good thing, because we can't move forward through this tunnel and transition into a new earth if we're living by all of our old patterns and our old thought processes and beliefs that we've been conditioned to believe. We have to really go within and figure out what are patterns and conditions that I learned from other people, and what are things that no longer serve me that I can let go of. Okay, my beautiful friends, thank you for joining me in this card reading. If you liked this card reading and you want to see more of this, then please hit the like button and leave me some comments below and let me know if you want me to start doing more card readings for you. Thank you so much and have a beautiful night. Bye.